which I was raised, we celebrated communion every single Sunday. And if we didn't have communion, it was not church. Now, when I was growing up, only those who had been baptized by their own choice, which means not as an infant, were considered Christians. And only Christians were welcome at the Lord's table. Many years later, I joined a church affiliated with the Disciples and the UCC traditions. In this church, every week when we celebrated communion, the pastor said these words: "This is God's table. Whether you are baptized or not, whether you believe a little or you believe a lot, you are welcome at this table." Now, the Gospel of Mark tells the story of a Greek woman, of Syro-Phoenician birth, a Gentile woman, an outsider. She was used to hoping for crumbs. She knew her place, and she was used to waiting her turn. But not this time. It was too important. This time, her role as mother outranked her ethnic heritage. Her young daughter was very ill, filled with an unclean spirit, maybe a mental illness, maybe a bacterial or viral infection, or some other ailment. Determined to find healing, this woman heard that Jesus, who was rumored to have healing powers, was staying in her town. So she went to him, willing to sacrifice her pride for the sake of her daughter. What mother wouldn't do the same? I don't know if she was surprised by Jesus' response to her request. "Let the children eat first. It is not fair to take the children's food and throw it to the dogs." But she will not let anything stand in her way, not even being called a dog by a holy man. Undeterred, she shot back, "Yes, sir, but even the dogs get to eat the crumbs that fall from the table." Now, we might wonder, did he really say that? Did he really call her a dog? Some commentators have liked to make light of the fact that it was a diminutive form and say, oh, he was just calling her a little puppy. No, he called her a dog. Scholars have endlessly debated Jesus' motives for these harsh words. Perhaps he was testing her, or testing his disciples, or making an example. Or perhaps he truly believed that the blessings of the kingdom of God were first and foremost for the people of Israel, and that they did not need to share all that they had worked so hard for. But regardless of what we imagine his motives might have been, this is what I think. Jesus was having a debate about health care. He was ready to deny treatment for this woman's daughter, but she would not let him. We don't have to look far in our time to find stories of people who will not be ignored. A single mother with 2 children, no child support, worries that she will not be able to pay the monthly health insurance premiums. An elderly woman has to choose every month between food and lodging and medication. Another person has lost his life savings and is overwhelmed by medical bills, and he has to file for bankruptcy. But it is not right to take the children's food and throw it to the dogs. Yes, sir, but even the dogs get to eat the crumbs that fall from the table. Well, things haven't changed very much, right? In this nation, we are in a polarizing healthcare debate. We could spend our time here today talking about policies, about economic realities, about democratic values, about the role of government. And those things are being debated in the public sphere, and they are important. But that's not what I want us to consider today. The question before us is, who has access to this table? Now, the Gospel of Mark sandwiches this healing narrative between two accounts of Jesus feeding a multitude with loaves and fishes. In Mark's Gospel, as Jesus showed what the kingdom of God looks like, he spent a lot of time doing two things: feeding people and healing people. These two things, food and health, are essential to abundant human living. In God's worldview, people should have universal access to everything they need for a full and abundant life. But sometimes we want to be satisfied and we want others to be satisfied with just the crumbs. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, in 2008, 17% of persons in the United States under age 65 were uninsured. Nearly 9% of children under age 18 were uninsured. It would be very easy to say, if 17% are uninsured, that means over 80% are insured. So we're doing pretty good, right? And should those 80% have to share their bread with the ones who won't stop nipping at their heels? Why can't they just be satisfied with the crumbs? But just as this woman was not satisfied, we, the church, have to keep struggling and pushing and nipping at the heels for everyone to have all that they need for full and abundant life. Now, I don't want to leave out the rest of the story for our reading today, because it didn't stop with that little debate. Jesus was deeply moved by this woman's persistent faith. And this encounter represented a turning point in his ministry, when he realized that there was more than enough bread and more than enough room and more than enough resources for everyone to have a place at the table of universal access. Every week, we come together and pray for loved ones who are ill or suffering. But the author of James says that prayer is not enough. If any are in need of clothes and have no food to live on, and any of you says to them, goodbye and good luck, stay warm and well fed, without giving them the basic necessities of life, then what good is that? And if one of our members or one of our loved ones could not afford necessary treatment, medications, tests, surgery, would we not join together not only to pray for that person, but also to find a way to ensure that they had access to resources and treatment? Why then would we not do the same for all God's children? All of us together have the resources to provide health care for everyone. There is enough bread, there is enough room, and there is enough for all at this table. This is the amazing and miraculous message of the gospel on this Sunday. We don't have to pay anything or work or do anything to earn a place at this table. We don't have to sit around on the outside hoping that after God's children have had their fill, there will be a few crumbs left for us. It is an open table where we can find health and wholeness and all that is essential for abundant life. And this is the challenge of the gospel today. No one has to do anything to earn a place at this table. And we are called to hear with open ears and speak with open mouths and work with open hands so that everyone can have access to food and health and all that they need for abundant life.